Hey guys, my name is Jason, and on today's video we're going to use this 16 by 12 hammer mill here behind me. We're going to crush up some of our gold ore. We're going to get it fine, liberate all the gold, then we're going to take it over and do a little test pan, figure out how much gold per ton we have. Now I know a lot of you guys have been asking, when am I going to process my gold? Here in the next video or two, we're going to process 3 or 4 tons of this gold ore, pour some gold bars, and see how much gold I have in my gold mine. It's quite difficult to record this process by yourself, but I got a few shots with one hand of me feeding the hammer mill. The hammer mill has a 0.8 millimeter slotted screen in it, 20 swinging chrome hammers that crush up the ore in the chamber. Once the ore gets small enough to go through the slots in that screen, it comes out the bottom into the super sack here, ready for bagging. The hammer mill crushes about 70% passing 30 mesh and about 50% passing 50 mesh. And for more information on our equipment, you can check out our website, send us an email, or give us a call. And here's a little bit better view of it all crushed up. It does a really good job of pulverizing that stuff. Took me maybe an hour to do 1,500 pounds or so, and mostly I was screwing around trying to open those bags. Hey, just a short little update on our ore bagging situation. We got the ore bagging line set up here. We're getting our run-of-mine material. We're bringing it over.
Oh, good.
Good, weighing them out to 25 pounds. And then we're zip tying them over here. So far we've got 80 bags in, I don't know, an hour, hour and a half, something like that. So we're doing good. I got a bunch of stuff here that I crushed up through the hammer mill. This is that fine ore that a lot of you guys have been asking about, and I've got 2 super sacks full, so we got to get bagged up, so this will go quick. So if you guys want a bag or 2 or 3, go get it now. They're live on eBay. Well, before we run over and do a test pan, I want to pull the lid off this hammer mill and take a look at the hammers and the screen. Just 4 bolts hold the top of the lid on. Then you got a picking eye here. We'll just pull the whole thing off. Take a look here. In total, I've run about 3 tons through this hammer mill. And the corner is just a little bit worn. Here's what the backside looks like. It's a nice sharp edge. But the leading edge of the hammer is a little bit worn, but hardly anything. Here's a look at the screen. And these laser cut 0.8 millimeter slots in there, so the ore stays inside the hammer mill case until it falls through there and then comes out the bottom, and the screen wraps all the way around 180 degrees. We've got armor in the side of the case here and also in the top of the case, and it barely wore any of the rust off or anything. So the armor typically lasts about 2 to 3 times what the hammers last, and the screen lasts about twice what the hammers last. The operating cost of this is about $30 to $40 a ton when you figure the maintenance goes into it. So it's a little bit higher wear than our ball mill, but it's a lot lighter, faster, easier, and does a pretty darn good job. But now let's do a test pan. Figure out how much gold we got. Well, this is pretty exciting. This will be the first pan I've done of the ore this year. I'm going to use this as kind of a little bit of a tutorial as well of how I pan this stuff, give you guys some pointers for panning and processing if you're going to get a bag or 2 from me on eBay. The first thing, get a tub, fill it up with enough water that you can sink your pan, all the way down into it so you can wet all your material. In the water, I added some soap to help break the surface tension. It gets rid of all the oils and stuff in there so your gold won't float, especially this really, really fine hard rock ore, or this hard rock gold will tend to float right down at the very end if you have a little bit of oil in your water, so you want to use some soap to get rid of that. This is a little bit different than prospecting in the creeks or the rivers looking for flakes, this hard rock ore is extremely fine and extremely hard to pan. So more than anything, you really have to be careful and just go slow, and you're gonna want to pan the tailings again to see if you lost anything. You will find probably more gold in the tailings. Even myself, I've been panning this stuff most of my life. I still lose gold panning. So my first thing I'm doing is I'm just giving the ore a really good shakedown, trying to stratify everything that I can, getting as much of the clay or the slimes, the super fine stuff, suspended in the water. I'm letting everything else settle, and I'm just washing that suspended clay and slimes out of the pan so we can get down to just the stuff that we can actually pan and settle down into the bottom of the pan. This stuff has a lot of sulfides in it. This gray film on top is some sulfide stuff. Here's a piece. This is what we're trying to break up. See these big clods of stuff? Get those broken up so all the dense stuff can settle down to the bottom. Don't be scared to put your hands in here. If you have soap and stuff in here or jet dry, you can agitate this with your fingers. Make sure down in the creases in the corners of the pan, everything's been nice and wetted and stratified. So I've got everything kind of where I like it now. Most of the slimes are out. We're gonna have some keep coming up as we shake, but the way I like to do it is get everything nice and stratified and fluid. You want to do short, hard, quick shakes like this to get everything. You don't want stuff sloshing all over the place, lose material. And then I dip it in and wash out. It's very gentle. The movement is very slow. I'm barely moving my fingers or my wrists at all, and I'm just letting the water come in and out just like a wave at the beach. So it's coming in, washing off the lighter material. We're already seeing some darker stuff here on the edge of the pan. So I don't want to get too far down into our stratified material yet. So I'm going to do anywhere between 5 and 10 washes like this until you're kind of comfortable with it. And then we're going to start the whole process over. This pan, even if I wasn't filming this pan would probably take me somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. It's not a quick process. Take your time, and if you end up with a 25-pound bag of ore, crushed ore, you've got hours of entertainment. Don't rush it. Just be very methodical in this, because the gold is so fine that you will lose some, and so you just gotta really be patient here. So now we're getting a little bit more clear look. Our quartz on top, a dark line here on the bottom, which is exactly what you want. We're probably starting to see some sulfides here. I don't know if you can tell, there are some gray bands still in the quartz, so we're not quite 100% stratified. You really never will be. There's a nice black band we're starting to see. I'm starting to see gold in the corner right here, so that's a really good sign. It's very fine, but that's how this hard rock stuff is, which just means that we're going to take it even slower. If you're starting to see gold in the corners of your pan when you're halfway done, that's a really good sign. The other thing you'll notice me doing as I work my way down farther into this material is when I go for my when I start washing material out of the pan, you're going to see me not bring the wave all the way back up to the black line. And that's because once I get it stratified like this, Slowly tip it over to the corner. Don't pour anything out. Once I get it stratified like this, I just want to wash the quartz from the first 2/3 out. I don't want to disturb the sulfides or the gold we have back here. I just want to get that top stratified layer off. I'm quite impressed looking at this. Most of this is quartz. There's very, very little wall rock contamination in here. There's a few larger pieces that are dark color, but this is really, really clean stuff. Harry and I did a good job. Well, mostly Harry. He did most of the mucking, but we did a good job of keeping the ore and the waste separated, both on blasting and our mucking. You can go to one hand if you want, if you get comfortable enough. Sometimes you can wash into one corner and then wash into the other corner. There's really, everybody has their own technique. I've never seen any two experienced panners pan the same way. We all learned a little bit different. We've all had different experiences and dealt with different size gold and different materials, so you'll see everybody do it a little bit different. And I'm not terribly concerned about losing a little bit of sulfides. We're going to pan most of the sulfides out anyway, so if you've done it right, the gold will be mixed with the very bottom layer of the sulfides and the tellurides. You shouldn't have any gold up top in this top layer. Now, the other thing that a lot of people, especially learning to pan or beginners, you're taught to use these 3 riffles. And those probably help when you're panning flakes or small nuggets in the creek. But for me, especially with this hard rock stuff and this really fine stuff, once I get down to about here, this next swirl or the next stratification shake I do, I'm going to move over and work over here, because for me what I found is these riffles cause too much turbulence for me right here at the edge. And you'll start to see there's quartz back hiding in the riffle and then black on top. So I'm going to take it and shake it all back down to the bottom and move it right over here. This way our wave that washes the quartz off the top is nice and even all the way across. The quartz now doesn't have any riffles. There's no eddies when we wash, and we can separate the quartz off of the sulfides really, really nice. Stratify, you're going to see the quartz come back up to the surface a little bit. You would think in your head that this is a perfect process, that when you shake it in the pan, you get perfect stratification, then when you wash the quartz off, it'll all be gone. Watch what happens now when I shake it. All this quartz is going to come up from the bottom, and we're going to have a white surface again. So this is not a perfect process. It's a good indication here with the quartz and the sulfides. The same thing is going on with the gold and the tellurides below. The gold and the tellurides are mixing with the sulfides, and every time you wash off some of the sulfides, you stratify it again. You work it down a little bit closer, and the goal is at the end you'll have mostly just gold and tellurides with a little bit of sulfides that you're going to fight. We should have very, very little quartz, if any. But I don't know if you can see the yellow coming here in the corner. That's always nice. Very, very super fine. This was just I don't know what that thing is. A liter. I don't know how many pounds it was. I didn't weigh it. I probably should have weighed it. Maybe 3 or 4 pounds of ore. And this, I just took a shovel right out of that super sack that we pulled out from under the hammer mill. Now the other trick that I've learned is you saw the gold in the corner here. There was no gold in the corner here. So what I like to do is I really want the gold right down in the middle. So I will shake it around this way, and then I will shake it back, trying to settle the gold down at the bottom of the crease. And now, if I did it right, we shouldn't see much gold in the corners. There's still a little bit showing here, and it actually runs all the way up that crease. I didn't shake it hard enough. They can still see it. So let's do it this way. We'll just shake it back over that crease. If you can't beat them, join them. That's what I say. We'll put the stuff over the gold rather than try to move the gold under the stuff. Okay, now we're down to mostly sulfides. This is the huge majority of these sulfides is the pyrrhotite that you saw in the previous videos, that black kind of shiny stuff. There is a little bit of cubic pyrite in our ore and a little bit of chalcopyrite. I expect what happens is when we crush it, both of those things are very, very hard to distinguish from the pyrrhotite. So when I'm talking about the sulfides, I'm talking about the iron sulfide pyrrhotite and pyrite and the copper iron sulfide chalcopyrite. At the very bottom here, we should see a little bit brighter, silverier colored gunmetal gray. I don't know what to call it. Let's see when we see it here. But those are those tellurides that I've talked about, and the tellurides hang out with the gold. The pyrrhotite has a density, I don't remember right off the top of my head, but I think it's about 5 or 5.5 grams per cubic centimeter. Quartz is about 2.7 grams per cubic centimeter. I believe the tellurides are somewhere in the 8 to 9 grams per cubic centimeter range, and then gold is 19. So gold is much more dense than anything else we have in here, but it still is sometimes hard to separate from the tellurides. And depending on how comfortable you are, this is where you're going to lose a lot of your gold, but you just got to go slow, nice and easy. Same concept as before with the quartz, just a little wave in and out, washing those sulfides off. It's just much less aggressive. Okay, now here we've panned it down far enough. Let's take a look here. It's out here in the light a little bit better. Now let's do a little swirl, see what we got. There's the silver tellurides there. I'm going to do a little bounce right at the edge of the pan here, and that will help stratify the gold. I hope you can see that. Maybe I want to be behind like this. That may be a little bit better. Ooh, nice yellow smile though. Maybe this is not the best. Hold on. I can't decide where I want to show you the gold. This is better. I think we have a little bit lower light but less glare here. There is the gold. A nice little yellow smile. The bigger white flakes are the tellurides. You can see the silverier stuff here, the darker stuff here. My question has been, I'm going to do this on a future video, but I think there's gold chemically tied up with the tellurides here. So we see the yellow gold, the nice yellow free gold, but I also think if you roasted these, you would drive off the tellurium and there would be gold down in that silver band as well. There's the gold and the tellurides hanging out right together there. A couple of nice bigger pieces of gold. And then it fades out. Again, the bigger gold kind of hangs out with the tellurides. It rolls around a little bit in the water. But this is all tellurides here, all the way across. And some gold has gotten down here as well. Oh, even there's a piece. I'm telling you, this stuff is hard. It's tricky. The gold in this stuff can be odd shaped, and it will roll. Sometimes it's little wires, sometimes it's little balls, and it'll roll around in the pan, not like that flat, flaky, nuggety stuff you find in the creeks. Well, there you have it, guys. That pan for me did not disappoint. I'm really excited to see gold in the pan, and I think that means that our ore really turned out well this year. If you're interested in some of this stuff, you can find it on eBay. I got a link in the description below. This stuff is great to practice panning with, teach your kids, teach your grandkids. It also makes excellent holiday gifts. But I will say that this stuff goes fast. Last year we sold out in 2 hours. So if you want some of this stuff, get it now because I have a very limited supply, and once it's gone, it's gone. I promise you that we are gonna have a video coming up in a couple of weeks of me processing 2, 3, 4 tons of this ore and pouring gold bars. That is what everybody wants to see. I know you guys want to see it, so it is coming up soon. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video when it comes out. But until then, thanks to everybody for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.